You probably remember the first time you saw them. A warm summer night, the air still holding on to the heat of the day, the grass darkening as the sun disappeared below the horizon. And then, one by one, the lights appeared. A flash near the fence, another above the garden, then dozens more scattered across the yard like tiny floating stars. For many people, fireflies are one of the strongest memories of childhood. We chased them with jars, watched them glow in our hands, and treated them like little living lanterns drifting through the darkness. But almost nobody explained what those lights actually meant. Because every flash you saw was part of a conversation, not random, not decoration, not an accident. Each pulse of light carried information. Every blink was directed toward a specific audience. Every response had a purpose. Tonight, we're going to look at what is really happening in that summer light show. Because above your garden, thousands of messages may be moving through the darkness at this very moment. And beneath your feet, an entirely different story is unfolding in the soil below. Let's begin with the light itself. The glow of a firefly is one of the most efficient forms of light production ever discovered in nature. Inside the insect's abdomen is a specialized organ where several chemicals interact in the presence of oxygen. The result is something scientists call bioluminescence. Unlike a light bulb, which wastes much of its energy as heat, a firefly produces what researchers often call cold light. Almost all of the energy becomes visible light. Very little becomes heat. If human technology worked this efficiently, our lighting systems would look very different. And scientists have spent decades studying exactly how fireflies accomplish it. The chemistry behind their glow has been adapted for medical research, disease detection, and laboratory testing around the world. The same biological system that fascinated children in backyards now helps researchers study everything from infections to cancer cells. But none of that is why the firefly evolved to glow. The light exists for one reason: communication. Every firefly species has its own language. Some flash quickly, others pulse slowly. Some produce greenish light, others appear more yellow. The timing, duration, and rhythm all matter. A male firefly typically flies above the vegetation while flashing a specific pattern. Below him, hidden among grasses and leaves, females watch carefully. When a female recognizes the signal of her own species, she answers. Not immediately. The delay itself is part of the message. The male flashes, the female waits a precise amount of time. Then she responds. The male interprets that response and moves toward its source. What follows is essentially a conversation conducted entirely through light. And it happens thousands of nights across fields, forests, gardens, and meadows. Each species broadcasts on its own channel. Each individual listens for a specific reply. And somehow, within all that darkness, the correct messages find the correct receivers. Researchers have found that some species can distinguish timing differences of fractions of a second. The system is astonishingly precise. What looks like a random display of blinking lights is actually a communication network operating with remarkable accuracy. But not every participant in that network is being honest, because hidden among those flashes is one of the most deceptive predators in the insect world. Certain female fireflies have learned something extraordinary. Instead of responding only to males of their own species, they eavesdrop on other species entirely. They listen, they memorize the signals, and then they imitate them. Imagine a male searching for a mate. He sends his signal into the darkness. A response comes back. The timing is perfect, the pattern is correct, everything appears normal, so he flies towards the source. But there is no mate waiting. There is a predator. The female captures him and eats him. For years, scientists were fascinated by this behavior. It wasn't simply hunting, it was deception, a firefly using another species' own language against it. and the story becomes even stranger. The victim carries chemical compounds that help protect it from predators. When the deceptive female consumes him, she acquires those same defensive chemicals for herself. She gains protection she cannot produce on her own. She isn't just stealing a meal, she's stealing armor. The entire interaction happens through flashes of light, a tiny drama of communication, deception, and survival playing out in the darkness above your lawn. But while adults are flashing overhead, another generation is living an entirely different life below ground. Most people never see firefly larvae. They spend much of their lives hidden in soil, leaf litter, and damp areas beneath logs and vegetation. And unlike the peaceful image most people associate with fireflies, these larvae are hunters. They search through the darkness looking for prey: slugs, snails, soft-bodied invertebrates, creatures that many gardeners consider serious pests. Firefly larvae are equipped with specialized mouthparts that allow them to subdue and consume prey far larger than you might expect. They spend months doing work that benefits gardens without anyone noticing. While the adults are famous for their beauty, the larvae are important predators helping maintain balance within the ecosystem. A yard with fireflies is not just a place where lights appear in summer. It's also a place where hidden hunters have been working in the soil for months. And that brings us to a more troubling part of the story. Because in many places, fireflies are becoming harder to find. People who grew up surrounded by them often notice the difference immediately. The displays seem smaller, the flashes less frequent, the nights not quite as bright. And research suggests those observations are real. One major reason is artificial light. Fireflies evolved to communicate in darkness. Street lights, floodlights, porch lights, and landscape lighting create interference. The signals become harder to detect. Males struggle to find females. Females struggle to respond. A conversation that worked perfectly for millions of years suddenly becomes much more difficult. Habitat loss creates another challenge. Firefly larvae need damp, protected environments: leaf litter, natural ground cover, moist soil. When those habitats disappear, future generations disappear with them. Pesticides add another layer of pressure. Many chemicals intended for pests affect fireflies as well. Adults and larvae alike can be harmed. The result is a gradual decline that many people notice without fully understanding why. The fireflies have not vanished everywhere, but in many regions there are fewer than there once were. The good news is that helping them is surprisingly simple. In fact, it often requires doing less rather than more. Leave some natural areas in your yard. Allow leaf litter to remain in shaded spots. Reduce unnecessary outdoor lighting during summer evenings. Choose warm-colored lighting when possible. Limit pesticide use around areas where fireflies are active. And plant native vegetation that creates the structure and moisture they depend on. Small changes can make a meaningful difference. Because if fireflies are still visiting your yard, it means something important remains intact. The habitat still works, the conditions are still right, the ancient conversation is still happening, and that's worth protecting. The next time you step outside on a summer evening and see those lights drifting through the darkness, pause for a moment. Remember that you're not just watching insects glow, you're watching one of nature's most sophisticated communication systems. You're watching predators, hunters, and survivors carrying out behaviors refined over millions of years. You're watching chemistry so remarkable that scientists continue studying it today. And you're watching a part of summer that future generations may only experience if enough people choose to protect it. Turn off the porch light, stand quietly for a minute, and listen with your eyes, because the conversation is still happening. And if we're careful, it will continue lighting up summer nights for a very long time.